Welcome back to the channel. For today's episode, we are going to be opening another starter kit. I happened to pick up these 3 starter kits off of Amazon. They were all fairly reasonably priced. This one today that we'll be opening is circa 2021. And I want to say this ran for 13 bucks on Amazon. In future episodes, we'll be opening this guy circa 2022. It ran $11, so actually a little bit cheaper. And then this starter kit circa 2023, which ran for $18 currently on Amazon. The deck today, or the starter kit today, is a double deck. We have a Swamp Forest and a Water Fire. Should be a lot of fun, so let's go ahead and break into that. All right. There we go. I like to make these videos, have a little fun, and maybe possibly show you what you could get for your money. These all seem like pretty reasonably priced double decks for good bang for your buck. Comes with a nice little, looks like two Magic deck holders, kind of a black streaky look, but ooh, nice little symbol on the back. I like that. Here, we'll put the box up there in the corner. There we go. See if I can't get these guys together. Maybe create a little ambiance in the background. My first starter kit I posted was Lord of the Rings. I chose that one just because I thought it'd be fun, and I like Lord of the Rings. But yeah, we're gonna see what other kind of cards we can grab out of some of these other starter decks. All right, what do you get? You get a Ready to Learn How to Play, How to Jump In, Magic the Arena. Yep. It also comes with your starter kit player guide, very similar to the Lord of the Rings one. And we have our box of cards. Make sure I don't spill them. All right, get that guy off. Here, I'm gonna put these up in the background while we're at it. There we go. There. All right, why don't we start with the Swamp Forest. We'll get into that first card in a second. I'll go ahead and grab my scissors here, and we'll try to cut into this deck. There we go. Get that all out of the way. And we'll see what kind of cards we got. So I'll start out here. This is the cover card. Dragon's Guard Elite. 2 mana to cast. Creature, Human Druid. It's a 2/2. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Dragon Guard Elite. I mean, if you have some copy cards you can toss out there, you know, essentially casting the sorcery spell itself gets you the +1/+1. And if you make a copy, that's a secondary +1/+1. So you can run up the strength of this card pretty quick. And then you also have another casting ability for 6 mana. Double the number of +1/+1 counters on Dragon Guard Elite. You know, with a forest, this actually isn't that difficult. You can get that mana out in the field quick. Tap 6, you know, maybe cast a 1/1 a 2 mana sorcery card for a total of 8 mana, and you already had some sort of enchantment that makes a copy of that. You could do some really good plays. Essentially, if you were able to pull that off, your very first instant or sorcery spell, so you'd have a double +1/+1, and then you double that, so you'd have +4/+4 off the first cast, and you go from a 2/2 to a 6/6 pretty quickly. Yeah, beautiful holo. Pretty cool card to draw. And then I've actually picked up, let me grab it over here. There's a stack of these. Picked up some sleeves to hold the holos moving forward. So I'm just going to go ahead and any holos I get are going to go right inside the sleeve. And we're just going to kind of store those off to the side. Nice little first opening card, and then we'll dive into the rest of it. So right here we have Oran Reef Ooze. It's a 3 mana to cast. Creature Ooze, it's a 2/2 power. When Oran Reef Ooze enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. When the Reef Ooze attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so you can start off by putting a +1/+1 counter on either itself or another creature, and then every creature that already has a counter on it gets another +1/+1 counter when attacking. I'm going to say this is a very strong, very powerful card for only a 3 mana cast. Yeah, this would be a welcomed addition to any forest deck. Pretty cool. Next up, we got Cragplate Baloth. 7 mana to cast. Creature Beast. It's a 6/6 power. It's got a 3 mana kicker. This spell can't be countered. A little spendy, and then you got its initial 7 plus the 3 mana, so you gotta get 10 mana to make it so that it's unable to be countered. Hexproof and haste. Okay, that makes a little more sense why it's a 7 mana to cast. If Cragplate Baloth was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. I mean, if you're able, you got the cards to get 10 mana out on the field really quick, I would definitely use that kicker, because then not only is it not able to be countered, it's hexproof once it lands. It has haste, so it's immediately able to attack, and you're dropping a 10/10 immediately for 10 mana. Really good card. In fact, there are many other cards you could pair with it to where it'll lower the cost of, could lower the cost of the mana by 2 or 3, and might only need to do 7 in order to get it out in the field. Very powerful card to add. Pretty impressive with the first couple starts. Then we have the Cleaving Reaper. 5 mana to cast. Creature Angel Berserker. It's a 5/3 power. 5/3 because it's flying, although there are some other like dragon characters that'll be like 4/4s or 5/5s for the same mana, so still not that impressive, although it has trample. And then you have pay 3 life, return Cleaving Reaper from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only if you had an Angel or Berserker enter the battlefield under your control this turn. It's an okay card. Seen better, seen worse. Yeah, a little spendy on the mana, but might be a welcomed addition to a swamp deck. Then we have Asmodeus, the Archfiend. 6 mana to cast. Legendary creature, Devil God. 6/6 power. Okay. For 6 mana, 6/6 power, we're already starting out good. Then we have something called Binding Contract. If you would draw a card, exile the top card of your library face down instead. For 3 swamps, you can draw 7 cards. That's pretty good. In fact, that's really good. Wow. And then for 1 swamp, return all cards from exile with Asmodeus the Archfiend to their owner's hand, and you lose that much life. Ooh, okay. I don't know how much I would use that. I'd probably use it sparingly and very early on before I lost too many cards. But I think the big one to take away from here is the 3 swamp to draw 7 cards. Because it's a little tricky to get 6 swamps out there, but it's doable. And then if your hand's down to a minimal amount, you play this card. Not only is it a 6/6 powerful creature, but then on your next turn, you tap 3 swamps and you get 7 more cards in your hand. Yeah, I like this one. All right, next up we have a Vampire Spawn, 3 mana to cast, 2/3 power. When Vampire Spawn enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. This is a decent card. You'd like it to be a little more powerful for a 3 mana cast than just a 2/3, but your opponent loses 2, you gain 2, so that's where it makes up the difference. Good card. We have another Vampire Spawn. There are also a lot of cards out there that will just double the strength of a vampire. Either +1/+1 for every other vampire on the field. So this might be a welcome addition to a vampire deck. Third Vampire Spawn. And moving into Spectre of the Fiends. 4 mana to cast, 2/3 power. Flying. And then for 6 mana, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I mean, it's a pretty weak card for a 4 mana cast. Yes, you can do the target opponent loses 2 and you gain 2 for 6 mana, but I'd rather just cast one of these because you get a creature on the field to fight with. It only costs 3 mana, not 6. And it does the same thing. So, overpriced. Not that great of a card, in my opinion. You have a second Spectre of the Fiends. And next up we have Karfell, Kennelmaster. Looks like a zombie berserker creature. 5 mana to cast, 4/4 power. When Karfell, Kennelmaster enters the battlefield, up to 2 target creatures each get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. I mean, the adding indestructibles pretty nice to 2 creatures. Definitely something you'd want to cast after you've already got your other army on the field. But realistically, with 5 mana cast, you're not going to be casting this very early anyways. Not a bad card. Oh, we have a second Kennelmaster. Next up, we have Oblivion's Hunger. 2 mana to cast, instant. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Draw a card if that creature has a +1/+1 counter on it. Decent, obviously, you could do a raging attack that, might be like a suicide attack, but at the end of the day, with the indestructible, your card comes right back to you. Decent little instant card. Secondary, Oblivion Hunger. Ooh, we have a Black Dragon. Usually dragons tend to be red, although you do have some green or forest dragons, plains dragons. Black Dragon. Flying, 7 mana to cast, 4/4 power. Acid Breath. When Black Dragon enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. For a 7 mana, 4/4, I guess it also potentially will take out a 3/3 creature. It's okay. A little spendy on the mana side. Might be a decent addition to a dragon deck. You get a secondary Black Dragon. Moving on to another forest card, we have Scurrid Colony. Creature Squirrel. It's 2 mana to cast, 2/2 power. Reach. Reach is nice. Block some flying creatures. Squirrel Colony gets +2/+2 as long as you control 8 or more lands. Well, like I said, with Forest, if you can get those lands out there, which Forest, it's pretty easy to do, you have a 4/4 off a 2 mana play. Good card. Especially a card to play a little bit later. Secondary, Scurrid Colony. And a third. Next up, we have Dauntless Survivor. Creature, Human Warrior. 2 mana to cast, 1/1. When Dauntless Survivor enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Decent little play. Usually usually 1/1 creatures are a single mana to cast, but because it puts an additional 1/1 on another creature, that's why it's the 2 mana. Not bad. There aren't a whole lot of... there's... Certain decks do have humans in the forest side, so, I mean, this could be a welcomed addition. Secondary, Dauntless Survivor. A third one. A fourth one. Okay, moving on. We have Marasa Brute. Troll Warrior. Okay, 3 mana to cast, 3/3. And yeah, basically that's it. It's just a creature troll, 3/3 for 3 mana. Usually if I'm going to play a card or keep one in a deck, I want it to do something else, some sort of other description other than just being a regular troll warrior. But if that's all you got, decent card. Yeah, a secondary one, a third one. That's it. Next up, Might of Murasa. First we had the Murasa Brute. Now we have the Might of Murasa. 2 mana to cast, instant, and a 3 mana kicker. You may pay an additional 3 as you cast this spell. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, that creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Yeah, not bad. For 2 mana, a +3/+3, that's a good card. There are some better ones out there. I know there's a Plains one that's a 2 mana that does +7/+7. I mean, that one's outrageous. But this one's decent. Plus, it's got the kicker if you happen to have the mana out there for a +5/+5. Yeah, nice little instant card. Get a secondary one of those, a third, and a fourth. All right, then we have Rabid Bite. I know there are a couple cards out there that have the same artwork. Or not artwork, excuse me. The same card, Rabid Bite, but different artwork. There we go. 2 mana to cast sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. You know, if you're able to get a 6/6 creature out there and then you hit it with Rabid Bite or cast Rabid Bite, you can then deal 6 damage to any other creature. Really good card to have in a forest. Get a secondary, a third, and that's it. And then we have Evolving Winds. We also got this in the Lord of the Rings starter kit, but this one has different artwork. Sacrifice Evolving Winds, search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you're playing multicolored decks, these things are useful. I've seen people utilize them. Me personally, I tend not to use these just because it's another card that's just kind of a throwaway card. I prefer my cards to have double purposes, fill 2 roles at the same time so that, you know, whatever situation you're in, you hopefully have what you need. But yeah, Evolving Winds. We get 1, 2, 3, 4 Evolving Winds. Then we move into some Swamp Manas. Yeah. Almost kind of looks like this swamp has like almost like an Ent bowing down or something like that in it. Cool little swamp. Let's see. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 swamp cards there. And then forest cards. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 forest cards. And we get on your turn rules of the game. All right, that is deck number 1. So I'll put the forest with the forest mana. Put that over there. Swamp with the swamp mana. Put that over there. We'll put our Evolving Winds and we'll bust into the next deck. Get the scissors out real quick. Come on. There we go. Let's see. Yep. We got, nice thing is the these things come with this card. The Lord of the Rings one came with 2. This one comes with only 1. Interesting fact about the Lord of the Rings one, it comes with 2 different codes, but both codes are tied to the same box. So whichever one you use, it was kind of a waste that they gave me 2. But this card on the back side, there's a code for Magic Arena. You punch it in. Everything on these decks then gets added to your Arena account. So really cool thing. I was kind of reading up online, and it looks like some of these starter kits sold like in like brick and mortar stores didn't have these. but pretty much everything on Amazon had these. So I guess Magic must have worked out a deal with Amazon to be able to sell this stuff. But yeah, you know, a lot of decks on Magic Arena are far more expensive than what I paid for this guy. This guy was $13. If I were to try to buy the same starter kit on Magic Arena, you know, I'm probably spending $30, not 13. So in my opinion, really good bang for your buck, and you get some cool cards. And we will move on now to our Water Fire deck. And we'll start out with the holo, the front cover. Cyclone Summoner, creature giant wizard. 7 mana to cast, 7/7 power. We're starting out good. When Cyclone Summoner enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands, except for giants, wizards, and lands. I mean, I think this is a welcomed addition to any giant/wizard deck, but other than that, I probably wouldn't use this card at all. I do have a giant deck on Magic Arena, so it's going to be a welcome addition to that one. The one trick is, though, I don't have any water on that giant deck, but you can kind of get around that with a lot of force cards. It'll be, you'll play a creature, and that creature has a tap ability to play, you know, 1 or even 2 of any mana color. So definitely ways around that. Forced is very, it's very easy to get mana on the field, and it's very easy to get creatures that tap for mana as well. So I think this will be a welcomed addition to my giant deck. I'm going to go ahead and put that holo inside the sleeve. I realize with these starters that these holos out front probably aren't all that rare, but I don't know. I just like the idea of collecting the holos, so just going to start doing that. We'll add that to the back wall. There we go. And we'll get back into the deck. All right, first up, we have Mind Flare. 5 mana to cast. Creature Horror, 3/3 power. Dominate monster. When Mind Flare enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flare. Very powerful card. There's a reason it's a 5 mana, because, you know, not only are you getting a 3/3 creature, but then you get to control any other creature that is on the battlefield. Actually, I don't know how that would play against a hexproof creature, but I want to say it's technically not a hex. I don't know. I'll have to play around with this on Arena to figure out how that works. It's so weird with hexproof. Like, you can't do any instant or sorcery spells on a hexproof, but then if you have a card that says destroy all creatures, a hexproof creature still gets destroyed. Personally, that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how Magic Arena does it. Mind Flare. Pretty cool, pretty powerful card. Next up, we have Arnie Brokenbrow. Ooh, looks like he's got a horn sticking into his head. Legendary creature, Human Berserker. 3/3 for a 3 mana cast. Haste. Nice. All right. He has Boast ability. For 1 mana, you may change Arnie Brokenbrow's base power to 1 plus the greatest power among other creatures you control until end of turn. Plus the greatest power among other creatures you control. Okay, so for a 1 mana tap, if you have a, I don't know, I'm just like a 6/2 on the field, then his base power would go to 1 plus the 6, so he'd be a 7/3. Now, it's interesting. I kind of like that. It's a cheap Boast ability, just a 1 mana tap. He's only a 3/3, plus he has haste. This is a decent additional card, assuming you're able to get a powerful and strong another creature on the field. But yeah, I like it. Next up, we have Calamity Bearer. 4 mana to cast. It's a 3/4 creature, Giant Berserker. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to the permanent or player instead. Definitely adding this to my giant deck. Wow. I have not seen... I don't see a whole lot of people play giants. I like them. I think they're fun. A decent change of pace. And this is going to completely change the game. Yeah, Yeah, this is a very powerful card in my opinion, because if you've built a giant deck, you're throwing out giant characters which are already strong. Like this one's a 3/4, but I mean there are other giants out there that are 6/6. The one on the wall 7/7. And so if that 7/7 is hitting for double damage, you're hitting for a 14/14. Now your giant deck is taking on, a lot of the powerful dinosaur decks. Yeah, this is an awesome card. I'm super excited to start playing with this one. All right, we have Archmage Emeritus. 4 mana to cast. 2/2 power. Creature, human, wizard. Magecraft. When you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Yeah, I guess since you're drawing cards, I get the 4 mana. I don't know. I don't really play water. Not my cup of tea, but I could see this being a decent addition to a water deck. Vortex Runner. 3 mana to cast, 2/3. As long as you control 8 or more lands, Vortex Runner gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. I could see where you could pull this. This would be like a niche card. You'd have to build it with other certain cards to make it really powerful. But I could see where it, might give you the edge. You get 2 of those. Frost Trickster. Creature, bird, wizard. 3 mana to cast, 2/2 power. Flying. When Frost Trickster enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. That's a good card. 3 mana. It's not too expensive. It's a 2/2, but it has flying, and it's tapping not only for that turn, but the next turn as well. Yeah. Very good card to have in a deck. And they give you 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. 4 powerful cards. Field Researcher. 3 mana to cast. Sorcery with a 3 mana kicker. Draw 2 cards. If this spell was kicked, draw 3 cards instead. I mean, 3 mana to draw 2. That's decent. 6 mana to draw 3. Overpriced, in my opinion. If I were to utilize this card, I'd only use it for the initial. Really, the only time I'd use the kicker is if I had a bunch of spare mana and I wasn't too worried about what my opponent was doing because I was already beating him. Yeah, kicker's kind of a waste. They give you 2 of those. Then we have a Wormhole Serpent. 5 mana to cast, creature serpent, 3/5 power. And then you have a 4 mana, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Spendy, not the strongest with only 3 attack, but it does have 5 defense. And then you got to spend another 4 mana on top of that, so it won't be blocked. Could give you the edge. Personally, I'd skip it. I give you 2 of those. Ooh, here we go. We have a Teeter Peak Ambusher. Creature, Goblin Warrior. 2 mana to cast, 1/3. Most goblins are like a 1/1, 1/2, 2/2. So a 1/3, decent defense for a goblin. 3 mana to tap. Teeter Peak Ambusher gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I'd prefer to see like a 2 mana tap for something like that. Or heck, even a 1 mana tap would be super nice. But if you're doing a goblin deck and you're looking for a decent goblin defender, I'd go with this guy. Not a bad card. I give you 2, 3, 4 of those guys. Then you have Axguard Cavalry. 2 mana to tap. Well, not 2 mana tap, just 2 mana. It's a 2/2. For tap, target creature gains haste until end of turn. Huh? Yeah, could be a decent addition. Looks like it's a Dwarf Berserker. All right, let's put that down there. They give you 2 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those. Then you have Run Amok, 2 mana to cast, instant. Target attacking creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. That's a really good card for 2 mana. Yeah, welcomed addition to any fire deck. They give you 2, 3, 4 of those. Nice. Ooh, a red dragon. 6 mana to cast. It's a 4/4. Creature dragon has flying. Fire breath. When red dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. Yeah, especially if you're doing like a commander build, playing against multiple commanders. This is a great card to have. I don't have a whole lot of dragon cards, but I'm hoping with some of these starter decks I can get a few more. I'd like to have a dragon deck. I think it would be fun to play with. And, 6 mana is a little spendy for fire, but there are certain things you can do to get around it. So, cool card to have. I give you three of those. This card's pretty awesome. Thundering Rebuke. I use this a lot in Magic Arena. 2 mana to play sorcery. You'd prefer an instant, but this is still a really good card. Thundering Rebuke deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. There are some other cards for 2 mana. They'll do 5 damage, but specifically normally on a creature. This one, I like it because it deals creature or planeswalker. And there's a lot of people out there who have planeswalker decks, so good card to have. A lot of times when the planeswalker goes out there, they're even after their +1 first turn, they're only at a 4. So this is a nice way to deal some quick damage and take out a planeswalker before it's able to run amok. I give you 1, 2, 3 of those. Nice. We have some more Evolving Winds. 1, 2, 3, 4 Evolving Winds. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 water manas. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fire manas. And then we just have another rules card. Nothing special. But yeah, really cool draws. Some powerful cards in there. I think at the end of the day, the thing I'm most excited for was the second card of the second deck. It might have been the third card, but still. This guy right here, Calamity Bearer. 4 mana is super easy to get out into the field. Being a 3/4, it has decent defense. And then, it's doubling the power of everything else. Creature Giant Berserker. I wish the only thing that would make this card better is if this was a legendary creature. If this was a legendary creature, this would be my giant commander leading the entire army. I can't believe it's not a legendary with how powerful it is, dealing double damage. It deals double damage to that permanent or player instead. All creatures are permanents, and obviously players. Heck, even planeswalkers are permanents. Yeah. Super powerful card. Ugh. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the content. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe. I think I'm going to try to start doing like a starter deck Sunday. Obviously, there aren't a ton of starter decks out there, but I'll do that for just, a little while. And then after that, I might move on to, Amazon likes to sell commander decks. So, at that point, I might transition into a commander deck Sunday. I don't know. But if you have any ideas, please give them to me down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the content and have a good one.